First of all, welcome to the Stone River Podcast, where we talk about people who have who live their lives and sharing their journey. So,
okay, let's introduce ourselves. You?
I'm Justin Tredenik. I'm your host,
and I'm Adrian Golniewski. Today's guest.
Today's guest is Adrian, good friend, and his squirrel pack.
Jerry Michael, I don't think I should say. This is Jerry Michael. He keeps all my important documents. I received this as a birthday present, so it'd be a waste not to use him as a microphone as well. He has lived a good life, and he will continue to see a lot of wonders of the world living up on the dash of my van.
We're in Adrian's van right now doing this interview. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Adrian.
Okay.
Where you're from, where you're living, what you're doing, and how you got started into climbing.
Okay, I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, I moved to California. I'm 20, by the way, 20, born in 03, and I grew up fishing. Actually, I went fishing in Poland, which is where my family and I'm from as well.
You speak Polish?
Tak, ja mogę mówić po polsku. I can speak in Polish.
Very good.
And actually, side.
Yeah, what did you just
say? Tangent. Well, no.
You didn't say anything bad in Polish right now,
I didn't say anything bad. I just said,
good.
Hi, I'm Adrian. I can speak in Polish.
Okay, good.
But there's a cool climbing culture in Poland.
Yeah.
That maybe one day we could go explore different climbing cultures. So
yeah, you're good.
I started climbing about, I'd say on and off 3 years ago.
Okay.
In Nashville, and I was kind of doing it when COVID hit over there. And what drew me to it was the exposure, I think. But it was, for me, it's fun to overcome those kinds of things. And also the kind of learning aspect of different styles of climbing. Obviously bouldering is pretty easy, but I mean, easy in a sense where there's not a lot of gear involved.
Yeah, bouldering's hard.
Bouldering's not easy, but just easy to learn.
Well, for Adrian, it's easy, but
no. Yeah, learning how
there's not a big barrier to entry into that.
Exactly. Yeah,
right?
Of knowledge in terms of engineering, right? So, for lead climbing, you have to know how to lead belay, and that's kind of okay. Well, first let's go. Let's start from top roping, right? No, bouldering, easy to learn. Top roping, easy to learn. Lead, okay, all right. You're getting
a little some technical
stuff, and then there's trad. Yeah, trad after that, which is okay, all right.
Where you place your own gear and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's getting more dangerous, and then you have aid. So
you started climbing on and off 3 years ago.
On and off, and then almost immediately I kind of went into lead climbing.
Okay. What drew you to that?
I think it was the exposure and kind of there were more routes that you could do when you were lead certified. There's a whole portion at every gym, most likely, where it's only lead. I guess just another kind of sense of exploring different ways to climb. And yeah, I kind of knew from the very start that I wanted to get into more climbing outdoors, doing trad climbing and stuff. I kind of was dreaming about that.
So you started in the gym then?
Yeah, I went to a gym with a few friends that I knew. Yeah, I spent a bunch of time in there.
And that was over in Nashville, and then you come over here to California and just continue it over here?
Yeah, so I moved right in the middle of COVID, so a lot of our gyms were closed, or you had to take reservations to climb, which kind of sucked. and I climbed at there's a gym in Santa Clara, and I climbed in San Francisco a lot. There's a cool gym over there, and then I over COVID it was kind of hard to keep going, right? You know, everybody was having trouble being consistent, I bet. And
everything's shut down.
Yeah,
right.
Shut down, and having to make a reservation to climb was freaking annoying.
Yeah. I remember my brother. I wasn't into climbing during most of the COVID shutdown. But my brother and I, we were going to like a just weight gym.
Yeah.
And we'd have to schedule like the day before, and like the times that we wanted to go was like the busiest times.
Yeah.
So it was like if you didn't like schedule it right away, you weren't gonna get a spot.
Yeah, but you know, weird stuff was happening.
It's in the past now.
You are free to go to the gym.
Free to go to the gym and have an enjoyable time.
I'd say as I began to know more people in the climbing community, so I met Kaylee at an old
previous workplace,
and she's like, "Oh my god, like, do you climb?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm like, I climb a little bit." She's like, "Oh, like we're going to like outdoors this weekend," and I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I joined them one time at Diablo Rock Gym, and I was like, oh, like these guys are about it. Like, let's freaking, like, these guys are pretty cool.
Let's hit it.
And then after that, found more friends. Started going outdoors and indoor lead climbing a lot.
Yeah.
And I guess I could talk about where we are now.
Yeah, where we're at now. What are you climbing at grade wise? Let us know about that. Like your hardest climbs or your highest high point, I guess. And kind of like what style or right. You talked about like lead, boulder, and trad. What really draws you in, and what you really like to go for with that.
Okay. Yes. What?
So like your highest grade, like boulder. You can do indoor, outdoor, climb whatever you want.
So recently I've been on a bit of a dry streak in climbing because I picked up a new job that like is I work from 9 o'clock to midnight.
Yeah,
so
you're
swamped.
Yeah,
but I have big boy money for big boy trips. Yesterday I tried 12A.
Yeah.
Got halfway up it. I mean, it was on top rope, but it was route was actually called Chlamydia. Yep. And
because there's two clam shaped features.
How fast can you get
chlamydia?
We need to do it again. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. How fast can you get chlamydia?
It's that fast.
So I tried a 12A yesterday. Didn't really get it. I'd say the hardest thing I've done outdoors. I mean, it's all relative, but there was one like really crimpy climb in Vet 5 that took me like a bunch of tries to get it. What grade was that route, do you think?
It was 11C on Mountain Project.
11C on Mountain Project. You probably don't remember what it was called, right?
It's called the G-Shot.
I'd say, yeah, that was probably the hardest thing I've done. And then indoors on lead, probably like 11D.
Yeah.
Is the hardest I remember doing. Bouldering wise, I'm kind of like V4. I'm like hitting most V5s. Yeah. But like I still haven't broken into V6s enough. That's kind of my level right now.
Okay. Just so that people kind of understand where you're coming from and your journey and talking about it.
The plan is to get shmoney, build out the van, and then hopefully figure out how to get shmoney on the road, so then you can be, self-sustaining and kind of like climb as much as you want.
Do what
outdoors,
you want.
And have your home at the crag.
And then what style of climbing do you like the most?
I'd say I love trad crack climbing.
I was gonna say I could like answer for you.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about cracks that like get me. There's a clip of me like really into this crack, just saying some dumb stuff. the whole crag heard me, and it echoed, and then everybody was like, "This guy's stupid."
He's halfway up this crack climb, and he told me on the bottom of the ground, he's like, "Okay, at some point during my climb, you need to say the words, 'Hey, Adrian, what are you doing up there?'" And I hit him with it. He's halfway through the climb. He's like placing a piece. Then he like turns around. He's like, "Wait, I'm not ready. You can't. You have to do it again." And I was like, "Bro."
Yeah.
And so we did it again. People next to us heard us, and then he's like, "Okay, we have to do it again later in the climb." So he gets like 3/4 of the way up the climb, and same thing. I hit him with the "Hey, Adrian, and what are you doing up there?" And he's like, "Come on, man! I wasn't ready for that one either."
Very, very poorly timed on my part. It was a little. I wasn't quite ready, and then like splitting a piece, and then I had to get the crack chalk up in my nose, and it was just a thing. But I think the worst part was that everyone
heard. A little embarrassing. You were a little embarrassed up there. Yeah, we all do it. So.
Make crack jokes while you're crack climbing in the hole.
I feel like a lot of people make those types of jokes when they're crack climbing.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope I'm not alone. So yeah, that's my favorite style of climbing.
Favorite style is cracks.
I want to learn like multi-pitch. I want to learn. I mean, I've done a little bit of multi-pitch.
Yeah, we've done a little bit together.
But like, I want to like know
get into it.
Like know how to do it very well, and just the whole engineering aspect, like knowing how to rig all those things up is pretty alluring to me. I mean, there's a lot of other styles that I would like to learn as well. Like I want to learn how to ice climb,
all kinds of stuff. You're out in the mountains, mountaineering.
Yeah,
a couple times this last month or so.
Yeah, right? There's I also like some like routes that are more like alpine. I did a Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
Like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
The mountaineering routes were really fun because that's kind of more like an endurance type of thing, and you're mixing in like aspects of like backpacking and like route finding and scrambling. Scrambling is really fun because it's exposed. You can die driving a car down the interstate, and that's probably more likely than you dying while climbing. And
you just mitigate the risks.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, know the engineering, know your systems inside and out.
And know your skill level and experience. For example, on Mount Williamson, we were en route to Mount Williamson, and I was with a very experienced mountaineer. His name is Leo. We were at this point called Shepherd's Pass, and it's basically this big 50-degree snowbank. We didn't do enough research on this route, so we brought like little micro spikes to this point. But what we should have brought were crampons. But we were at this pass, and we were already like, I think 11 miles in, and we see this snowbank, and Leo's just like, "I don't like it," and I'm like, "Why don't you like it?" Like, I want to go, and he's like, "No, I don't like it. Like, it's not safe." And I mean, it's really like the mountains and climbs just like humble you. And you really gotta learn how to. You will learn how to take losses and how to be an old climber. Because there's old climbers and there's bold climbers, but there's no old bold climbers. Yeah, actually, side story about this pass. So as we were approaching, we were like we're like down lower, maybe like 300 feet, like looking up at this like snowbank. It's like up here, and we're like looking. We're like thinking about like, oh, like where should we approach the snowbank?
Trying to figure out your route or something.
Yeah, and like while we're walking, just like just glancing at it. Then all of a sudden, I see a deer like start sliding from the very top, and it's like poof, 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 poof on the slope, and it kicks off this like I'd say like a basketball sized rock at us, and it just starts careening at us, and then we're like scrambling out of the way to get around this thing, and at this point it's like we're still like kind of at the basin of the snowbank, so we were able to like get
move out of the way pretty quickly
to safety. I mean, it stopped probably like 20 feet in front of us. But I mean that's kind of an example of a danger that is you can't mitigate that a lot. I mean, you can stay out of the way of like rockfall areas and like treat it as kind of like a danger zone, right? Like for example, if you're like avalanche an avalanche,
be about your wits.
Yeah, just kind of like navigate around it if you can, or spend as least amount of time in it as possible. We do have some other stories about rock too.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell the story while I get some water?
Yeah, sure. You can grab some water. Yeah, we were climbing at Waterfall Cliff
in Castle Rock, near Santa Cruz.
Yep. And sorry, you want to tell the story?
No.
And we were climbing a route, and there's a lot of routes there that have shared anchors, and so we climbed a route next to another route that people were climbing already on, and they had an anchor set up. But we figured we could climb up this route and set up an anchor off the tree that was up at the top. And so when he was scrambling up the last little crack to get up to the tree, boulder had popped off, either off his foot or off his hand, I don't know, when he was getting up to the top of the rock. And it was a pretty big sized boulder, probably about the size of like a person's head, maybe a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
But it came crashing down, and the wall's only 50 feet, but it came down pretty hot, and if somebody had gotten hit, it would have been pretty bad.
It landed right in the middle of these like five kids,
younger kids. They were like our age.
Yeah, our age.
And no one had a helmet on.
Landed right in the middle of them. So wear your helmet.
Yeah, wear a helmet.
Wear a helmet.
For sure.
I got hit in the acorn. I got hit in the head with an acorn.
Yeah, he got hit in the acorn with the head.
So
yeah. It's dangerous, but you go with people who know what they're doing outdoors. Yeah. You take in the necessary precautions, and you understand there are risks, and you do everything to mitigate them as you're outdoors.
Yeah.
And I think that helps prevent it from being more disastrous than people think it actually is, right? That knowledge is power out in the wilderness. Going along with all of that, so obviously there's dangers in rock climbing. And starting out, or now even, have you ever experienced like fear of that? Do you have like a fear?
Yes.
Do you have like a fear of heights or any other fears that you've experienced in climbing? And then how have you overcome those, or are you? What have you done to like kind of mitigate that fear?
So I wouldn't describe myself as having a fear of heights. I do sometimes get a bit flustered.
Okay.
I'd say by them. I used to fly gliders, which are like they're planes without engines, so you're basically just like soaring. Are
you like jumping off cliffs with these?
No. It's like you get towed by another plane. You go up, and then they like release you, and then you just kind of hanging out and flying and like using thermals.
Okay, sweet.
And that was like a pretty I was pretty high. I was pretty freaking high. No, that was high altitude. I don't think I've ever really had a fear of fear of heights. I remember a few moments of me being like at the very top of my gym, like about to lower, and being like, "Holy crap!" Like that's if I fell, this is high up.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you start to feel like your heartbeat a little faster, and you're like clinging onto the wall, like not wanting to trust in your rope
mm-hmm.
and your harness. But yeah, it's in the gym. I'd say it's unless you have like a true like phobia of heights. Which I mean, I know a lot of climbers with fear of heights. I mean, if you have a fear of heights, this is a great way to get over it for sure. And I mean, I have been scared mountaineering before.
Mm-hmm. What scared you out there? Was it heights or
it was the down climbing.
Okay.
It was the sheer exposure and the like 1,000 feet of like giant like loose boulders that I was going down.
Yeah.
And
when we're talking exposure, we're talking like just looking over and like emptiness, like a cliff edge.
Yeah,
you're just looking over and there's nothing below you.
It's danger.
That's the thing when people like look down and then they're afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Kind of thing is exposure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so that I remember the first time I went like scrambling. I went to a shop near Big Pine, California, which is like near the Sierras or the east slope of the Sierras.
Okay.
And I was just like, yeah, like I don't really have like I want to go outdoor climbing, but I don't really have a partner or like bouldering mats. He's like, you should try scrambling. I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a day pack up this mountain, and there like I went. Half of it was just hiking on like this trail, and the other half was like trudging through scree, which is like super loose rock.
Mm-hmm.
There were definitely some points where if I fell or slipped, I would have died. But eventually, you learn to find this laser focus where you're in a flow state. And
I love it because I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah, a flow state where you're like, okay, I'm not falling, and then you just are one with the mountain. You're not thinking of anything else. When I was down climbing my first scramble, it was I remember like there were a few times where my thoughts like strayed from not where my feet are going to go, and I slipped and like I cut up my knee like pretty bad a few times, and then after that I was like, okay, like this is full 100% focus.
Yeah.
Which is also probably a lot of people like climbing as well. I mean, you know, for me, I find a hard time focusing in life, like period, right? Like school was kind of hard. Like
lots of distractions.
Yeah, you know, especially in our day and age.
Yeah.
Whatnot. Like having ADHD as well. Like it was especially hard to focus. And I think that's also why a lot of other climbers climb, to find this focus that is rarely there in their lives. So
yeah, you're high on the wall, and it kind of just like everything else fades out, and it's just you and the next move.
Yeah,
and breathing and the next move. Right.
Yeah, and then that's it's a nice zone to be in. Oh yeah, fear.
Yeah.
So, I had for a while I hit a plateau, a lead climbing, I think.
Okay.
And there were a lot of moments where I remember like being. I'm sure you've seen these moments where I was up on the wall. I was on a certain climb that I've tried like a bunch of times before. And then I'd just get way too pumped, and I'd be like take, and I just wouldn't try and push past the move because I was just like scared of whipping, right?
Yeah.
like, I've like whipped before, and I've had like fun with it, but I think it was like the loss of control.
Yeah.
That would just shut me down, I think, and just the mind. I mean, I'd still like get up on the wall and all that, but I mean, up to the very top of the route. But it was just kind of like a mental block.
Mm-hmm.
How I was able to overcome that, or I'm still like, just overcoming it.
Mm-hmm.
Like just now, like
just broke through.
Yeah.
Like something, like what happened? Something click, and you're just like, let's go.
I listened to. I've been telling you guys about this a lot. I listened to a podcast called The Rock Warrior's Way, and it talks about the mindset of climbing, how to mitigate risks. I guess it kind of teaches you the mental game of climbing, and climbing in a way that is as zen as you can get.
Can put you in a state where you're not.
Yeah,
where that stuff kind of pushes back or something.
Yeah, and obviously this is a whole book that we're talking about. I would recommend it if you have trouble, like if you get way too in your head about climbing, or if you're like self-conscious about the grade you climb. It just kind of the big lesson in that book is that you have to treat it all as learning, and then clear your mind of all of the negative or useless thoughts. So, for example, like I probably would take on a leap. Take, by the way, is like when you're about to fall, but then your belayer takes up slack, so you don't fall, and you just kind of go like sit in your harness.
Mm-hmm.
A whip is where you. I don't know if the viewers care, or
there's some people that might watch that don't know these terms. Yeah. So yeah, like
sorry for not explaining earlier.
No, you're good. A whip is like just taking a fall on lead where there's a little bit of rope above your last piece of protection, and so you kind of whip down underneath that, and then taking you need a rest, and so you rely on the rope to catch you where you're at, and then hang there for a second and.
Yeah, so I would take, and I basically like give up, on doing it. Like, I guess I don't know, give up. It's kind of hard to describe taking, but I would take on a certain climb at a certain point because I'd get too pumped and I'd get scared, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember like sometimes if I was like about to whip, I'd like grab my the rope that was like closest to my harness, right? And I feel like this is a habit for other people that are like scared, that are scared, right? They grab this rope, which feels or a draw,
it's like safe, something.
Yeah, safe. And I learned from this book that you just have to trust in your. I don't know if the author even specifically said this, but you have to trust in your gear. Because A, you've done all your checks on the ground. B, it's a low probability of your gear breaking. Because nowadays it's so high quality. I mean, obviously, do your proper gear maintenance.
You've done your checks, so you can trust it.
Yeah, trust it. If you're feeling scared or your mind is like shouting at you, like, "Oh, you're too pumped!" Like, take. You just have to push those thoughts out, and then try and just go for one more hold, or just like keep driving with your legs, right? Set a different intention in your mind rather than repeating to yourself whether you want to or not. Like, oh my god, like I'm scared. Like take, like I'd like,
set yourself up for success.
Yeah,
by thinking positively rather than like I can't do this, or I just need to move one more move.
Yeah, in a positive direction rather than like reverting back to what your instincts tell you. Mm-hmm.
Which I think you can probably correlate that to just like in real life.
Yeah.
Or just climbing is real life, but in in life in general,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You kind of have to do the same thing, where one of the main takeaways that you can get from climbing is like in life, when things get hard, you can't just say, I'm not strong enough, I don't have the ability to overcome this challenge. You kind of need to push those negative steps aside and say, hey, let's just get this one thing, this one next thing, most important thing done, and then move on to the next, right? Because life is hard, climbing's hard, but if you give up, you won't reach that top. The top of the climb, you won't find the fulfillment, the joy that you get in life and in climbing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of life lessons in climbing too.
Yeah.
Like sorry to correct you, but it's not always about getting to the top in climbing. You know, there's if climbing was just about getting to the very top, you know, it wouldn't be the same. You'd probably just take a helicopter and, you know, go up there, or, you know, do some other stuff. They talked about this. The author of The Rock Warriors Way talked about this, like to enjoy the journey of climbing.
Yeah. Right.
Because if you only think about getting to the top and getting done with the climb, then you're not going to enjoy the process and the struggle of actually doing the climb.
Yeah.
You're able to win some and lose some. There are some days. There's some days where you have high gravity days. You know, you're feeling not the best. You're getting pumped out too much, but you
feel like you're 10 pounds heavier than normal.
Yeah. But you just have to shake it off and, you know, try and be as consistent as possible.
Yeah. We've gone outdoors a bunch climbing, and sometimes we get out there and we don't even get the climbs.
Yeah.
We don't get to the top of the climbs, but we still have a super fun fun day, you know? Right? Like, right? It's not just about getting to the top. But it is about kind of enjoying the moment more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'd say if you do even, like, it's something that everybody can work on. Probably even in life. You know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, I certainly catch myself sometimes being like, oh, like, this sucks, you know?
Yeah.
But it's good to do hard things as well.
How have you found balance in life and climbing? I know you mentioned that you're working a ton right now. So how have you been able to find a balance in your life?
So, I've found it hard to balance. I as of about maybe a month ago, I picked up a full-time job making spring. This is not a plug.
This is 100% a plug. Do it. Plug it right now.
Spring sports nutrition. I'll probably have some.
We could probably dig something out of the bag or something.
I'm gonna dig some out.
He's gonna dig some out.
It's basically
this is your dad's company.
Yeah, so it's basically for, like, ultra marathoners. When dudes run, like, 100 miles at a time, they eat, like, they're basically smoothies.
And what are they like? They're made out of, like, apples. It's different fruits.
Yeah, like, there's oats, rice, bananas, maple syrup. You know, there's no bad stuff in there. Kind of looks like this. Kind of looks like that. Do you want one right now?
I'll have one right now. Let's pop a spring gel right now.
So I picked that up recently, and that's really inhibited. If you don't like it, I'll eat the rest of it. That's fine. You can tell me if you don't like it.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Are you lying?
No, I'm energized.
Okay.
So you got this new job with your dad.
Yeah.
Making strawberry smoothies, cranberry smoothies.
Yeah.
All different types of smoothies, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, in the ultramarathon world, we call them gels, but that sounds weird. So
it says strawberry smoothie on the back right here.
Okay. Well, whatever, dude.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I bet these things are even better chilled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I chill them all the time. So recently, I found it hard to balance.
Yeah, we've been missing you at the gym.
Yeah, the gyms that I live by are 30 minutes away, and I basically go to work and then I go to sleep because from there's only 9 hours that I have of break in between, and I'm sleeping in between that time. But beforehand, it was nice when I had more of a part-time job. I would commute to Diablo Rock Gym, and I would go climb around 6 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with Jaybird and K Dog. And then on the weekends we would go outdoor climb. And that was really nice because that was mostly consistent. I mean, sometimes I wouldn't show up some days. It's hard to be consistent, right? I mean, yeah. I'd say even with myself, it's hard to be consistent with a lot of things, especially with a lot of things on your plate. But I mean, I guess I'm designing my life right now. I'm working on it so that I can be a lot more consistent about this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. By saving up a lot of money now, B, trying to build out my van, so that I'm able to go to all those places that I want to. Mm-hmm. At the same time, right? I'm talking about trying to focus on working on my van, but then you can also lose sight in doing what you want. So, for example, yesterday, which was a Saturday, originally I thought I'm gonna work on my van this weekend. I've been really lacking on it. Progress has been super slow. But then I was like, dude, you know what? Go climb. The van is an object. It's an object that I've been focusing on too much. And I mean, it's like a ticket to.
And it's fun. You like working on the van.
It's fun, but also what does each thing boil down to, right? When you're outdoors climbing, it boils down to being outside and a love for a sport. Being in the van, I mean, working on the van is at some points it's a little bit materialistic, right? It is an object that one can definitely obsess over. You know, my van isn't the fanciest of all, but I've definitely put in,
sweet.
Effort.
Love into it.
Blood, a lot of blood. But yeah, I'd say it's pretty hard to balance. Just if you need some advice on being consistent, don't ask me. I'm not.
Have you done any training for climbing? And that kind of ties in with have you done any sports before that set you up for success in climbing?
Yeah. So growing up, I did all kinds of sports. Really. I mean, I did the classics: soccer, basketball, then eventually swimming stuck. Mm-hmm. And that was a sport where it was really what swimming in a pool and you're competing against people. That's just really what that boiled down to for me was just going back and forth in a pool. Right, mm-hmm. Of course, there are a lot of lessons in swimming that are awesome, and you can learn a lot from them. I also plateaued. I don't think I had the best genetics for swimming. So that my swimming career, I peaked at 13 probably, and then after that it was just kind of downhill. And I just lost sight in what I was doing. I learned all the lessons from swimming that I could, discipline as best as I could. I swam for 10 years. So over the 10 years.
Okay, so you peaked early and then you continued swimming after your peak?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Which was
not as exciting.
No. Definitely not. But it was a way to keep moving. So
yeah. Kept you
nice.
fit.
I mean, deep down, I was really looking for something else. Because I was not too happy. And eventually I moved out of swimming because it just became like something on the side for me. Like I was on like a high school team and I wasn't doing like club swimming anymore. So just like kind of on the side. And then I transitioned over to water polo, which was super fun. That was kind of the team aspect of water polo was difficult for me.
Did lots of sports, and then you got to rock climbing. Would you say like swimming and water polo helped like put you in a position to transition over to rock climbing?
Sure, but I mean, if there's a will, there's a way. Like you know, just because like I swam when I was little doesn't mean that I'm going to be any better of a climber than someone who didn't. I've had a journey with adventure sports as well. I used to snowboard. Well, I still snowboard. I've been snowboarding since I was little. I was put in snowboard school. I'm doing that. I'm still doing that. I'm actually learning how to tie that into climbing with ski mountaineering, which is pretty fun. Also, in California, I learned how to surf, which has been a pretty fun adventure.
You've been fit because of that. That helps going into rock climbing. And then since you've been rock climbing, any kind of training you've been doing, or just kind of just climb and get better as on the wall?
I would say getting as many miles up on the wall as you can is very important. That's kind of like the main thing, I would say.
That you've been doing?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I'd say for anybody to focus on is just being just like learning through actually just being up on the wall.
Being on the wall.
There isn't too much that you can do. I mean, you know, you can do yoga at home, which probably would help. I've done a little bit of yoga at our gym, which has been nice.
You're not going into the gym lifting weights or
I mean, I tried to
hangboarding.
I mean, hangboarding is a thing that I have yet to break into, but I've been told, and I've kind of found that it's not that important as a beginner. Once you begin like intermediate, like sure, if you want to, like go ahead and do that. I mean, it would probably help. But I'd say just climbing in general is probably better.
Okay.
I'd say like lifting is, you know, just important for life as well.
Good for health and life.
Yeah, okay. But I do definitely want to be more consistent with that as well.
Sweet.
You know, work and job and all that.
Tons of stuff to get in the way for that.
Oh, and school.
In school.
In school.
You are doing school. So.
I go to Diablo Valley College, which is a community college. I was taking in-person courses, and then when I realized I could take all online courses, I jumped on that, and I've been able to kind of travel and do whatever I want.
You're kind of free. You're not tied down to having to be there for the semester.
Yeah, and asynchronous work is pretty nice because I can fit it in wherever I want to in my schedule.
Nice. Last question. Here we go.
You're good.
What are your goals for the future for climbing? This is a big one that I wanted to... Like, what are your goals in climbing? And if you have any other goals that aren't climbing related, you can also share with the class.
Sure. So I'm envisioning myself in 5 years. I will have my van all built out. I'll have either some money saved up or an online job, and I will be climbing, mountaineering, and doing all kinds of adventure sports as much as I can. Just pursuing those things. I'd say like a 2-year plan is probably trying to finish the van.
Finish the van in 2 years?
Yeah,
I think that's possible.
Yeah, I think I've already had it for a year now, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
It's been very slow because everything's been, you know, I'm doing it in a way which is pretty expensive, honestly. But in my mind, it's worth it because it's going to be like the base camp, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I said before, I have the goals of like learning how to ice climb, multi-pitch pretty well. I want to do a bunch of climbing all over the U.S., Indian Creek, Utah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trad crack climbing. That's kind of mecca.
Yeah, going to areas like that. I definitely have goals of like mountaineering as well. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to climb some like recognizable mountain. I don't know if Mount Denali's in my sights. We'll see. I don't know.
Sweet. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Adrian, for taking a little bit of time out of your day.
Thanks for interviewing me.
Yeah. And maybe we'll catch up with and see how the van's coming along and how your other goals are coming along a little bit later down the line.
Okay, cool.
All right. Sweet. Thanks, Adrian.
You coming tomorrow? At the end, you should add like an outtakes.
The outtakes, yeah. We'll get some.
What else?
Same poop part. You can say whatever you want, and if I decide it's bad, it's gonna get cut.
That's so good.
You can go free.
Poop
free
fart.
flow.
Poop fart. Dingaling. Dingus dongus.
It's gonna be in there. Why is this not charging? Sorry.
Very good.
Sorry, Adrian. I don't know what's going on.
Baller?
I think it's gonna die.